Good morning, friends. Welcome back to In the Steps of Christ, a pilgrimage reflection for the Triduum podcast. Again, my name is Father Thon, the Associate Pastor at St. Julie Billiard, and with us we have Father Jay,
the Associate Pastor of St. Francis of Assisi. And once again, we join you in my office at St. Francis to help walk you through this reflection, this spiritual pilgrimage.
Yeah, so Father Jay talked about a spiritual pilgrimage, right? Yesterday we followed the steps of Christ from Jerusalem, right? We go inside of Jerusalem, and Christ had the Passover with his disciples in the upper room, and then after that, right, he went to the garden to pray to God the Father. So today we continue to follow his footsteps. So at the end of the night, right, the soldier captured him, and now he's carrying the cross. So we know that on Good Friday we do the Station of the Cross in different ways, right? Some parish they do it outdoor, some parish they do it indoor, and some parishes we are doing the virtual Station of the Cross. So Father Jay, do you know the Station of the Cross? When did we have that tradition of doing the station?
Well, the general history kind of is that it. Mary was the first one to really go back. People would see Mary go back and retrace the steps of Christ and stop at certain places, walking up to the cross where her son was crucified. And recognizing this holy spot, so other pilgrims would come and try to trace the steps of Christ, to walk in his same footsteps, to help gain a better understanding of what the sacrifice truly meant for us. It wasn't the exact stops and stations that we know today, but eventually, over the centuries, it developed into these 14 or 15 stations, depending on how you celebrate it. But it became these particular stations as a way for those who are unable to make a physical pilgrimage to these holy places. Not all of us all across the world have that opportunity to do so. These stations give us an opportunity to visualize it in our minds, to use our imaginations, to walk with it, with Christ, within our hearts and within our minds, to make a spiritual pilgrimage.
Yeah, so Mother Mary, right? She's the best. So tradition that she took to take the cross within her, right? Imagine she went through the station, through the spot that Jesus was carrying, and then now we follow the footstep of Christ, and we follow the footstep of Mary, right?
Yeah, she was there with Christ all the way to the cross too.
Yeah, so she remembered very vividly the suffering that her son has to endure through the station, right? And then she would like to go back, right? Go back that experience of being with her son, because her son was no longer, right, with her during that time. So she came back to do the station. So with that, do you want to talk the overall experience that we had over in Jerusalem? So in Jerusalem, because we stayed for more than 2 weeks in Jerusalem, so we had so many opportunity to do the Station of the Cross in different forms. So Father Jay, can you provide us a overall experience, your experience of doing the station in Jerusalem?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned yesterday just how busy the old city is. You have so many tourists, people trying to make business on the streets, and it's the same around these holy spots. You know, time doesn't stop for tourists or for pilgrims. And you know, my thought in my head was, you know, how do we pray these stations? You know, like we do in our churches every Friday. We try to center ourselves, have a quiet time to really focus on these stations. But when you actually go to these spots, it's noisy, it's loud. People are shouting, trying to get your business. And I'm thinking, like, how do you actually pray at these spots? But then, you know, we just thinking about what Jesus went through, and we kind of had this conversation last night with Father Paul Seaman. I mean, Jesus didn't have that quiet either while he was carrying the cross. He was to many people in the city just another criminal to be exposed, to be set an example of, and so either people saw it as a source of entertainment, or to jeer and curse and yell at Jesus, or other people were just trying to walk on their way, just like, you know, again, the people of the city of Jerusalem. You know, people are not going to stop for you in order for you to pray, especially if you're just an individual person or a small group of visitors who no one knows who you are.
Yes, it's very true, and we know that, right? During Jesus' time, when he was about to take the passion, right, take the cross. During that time period, because people, they usually go to Jerusalem temple once a year to celebrate the Passover. So with that imagination, right, people from everywhere flooding to Jerusalem city. So of course the people, the merchants, they wanna sell their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the opportunity to sell the stuff for those pilgrims who come into Jerusalem for the Passover. So it added more people to the city.
And for me, a reflection point for me is, you know, we talked about the Garden of Gethsemane, how Jesus made that retreat, how important it is to make those kinds of retreats, because, you know, when you're in the busyness of your own life, sometimes it's hard to pray.
Yes.
At the same time, I don't think Jesus stopped praying either. So in the midst of all that chaos, also the question is also posed to us: how do we pray even when there's so many things going on in our head? How do we stay with the Father in heaven? How do we stay with Christ when maybe we're overwhelmed with a lot of things that's going on?
Yeah, so you bring back Father Jay back a very important point about the retreat that we talked yesterday, right? Before we make an important decision in life, it's good to take a retreat, either one day or 1 week or a few hours, right? To calm us down. So Jesus, when he was carrying that cross through the crowd, right, is heavier. Wow, the cross itself is heavy to be able to hang someone, you know. But the heaviness that the people like try to push him, right? Try to ignore him, because they just want to have their business going on. And it added emotionally to the cross of the Lord.
Yeah, emotional heaviness and baggage. You know,
yes. So Father Jay, I know that you have a picture in Holy Sepulchre about the crowd. So over here, what do we see?
Well, this is within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which was erected over the site of Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified and where he was laid in the tomb. And so this is towards of course, the end of the stations. And so you can see just how crowded it is within this church and how busy it is, and you can imagine how loud it is as well. No one's just because they're in church, that doesn't mean anyone's going to quiet down. It's just as loud inside as it is outside.
And over there we can see, so there's a lady trying to pray or doing the veneration over there. So that spot is where Jesus will lay, right?
Yeah, it's called the stone of anointing. So where after Jesus was taken down from the cross, in order to prepare him for burial, they laid him upon this a stone slab and anointed him with oils or perfume in order to prepare him for.
So it's a very powerful experience over there, friends. So if you have the opportunity to go to Jerusalem or to Holy Sepulchre, right, at that very spot is like right in after the entrance or the Holy
right
Sepulchre.
In front of the door. Yeah.
Yes, and that rock always have oil, like the perfume oil, and people try to like use their cloth that they bring with them, and then take the oil so that the experience will come back with them, But over here you can see different people has different business in their mind, right? Some people try to pray, some people try to walk pass by, and then there's a tourist, right? He said, I'm here, guys. Come here. And then I want to
see someone taking a picture.
Yes.
They want to get in it.
Yeah, so much going on. So with that picture, back to the past, when Jesus carried the cross, yes, people just worry about different things in life, and they try to accomplish their things, right? Either taking a picture or trying to sell something.
Yeah. Oh, but before we move on to your impression
I see.
Of the stations when you're there, the stone slab was something that or the stone of anointing was something I really look forward to, because one of the impressions that I had from watching the Catholicism series with now Bishop Barron. There was a very like beautiful shot of people coming in and kneeling down before that stone slab, and so that was watching that series was a very important moment of me, like kind of developing my faith, and so that's something I really look forward to. I got excited to see when I finally got there, because it reminds me of an important part of my journey of faith, but just seeing how profound that spot was to people, that when they entered, they knelt down and they kissed it, and just as where Jesus laid,
Yes.
But that aside, I want to get your impression too about the stations as well.
So when you talk about Bishop Barron, right? So God bless Bishop Barron and all his works. He produced so many good, wonderful things, either theology or the Catholicism, or some comments that he gave. He's like so intelligent, he's so good, and before he does something, he did a lot of research. So please follow Bishop Barron on YouTube or whatever channel that he provided. He's good.
Are you being paid by that?
I know, right? I should call Bishop Barron as
this is brought
Bishop
to you
Barron,
by Word on Fire.
By Word on Fire. Bishop Barron, we went to the seminary together, Father Jay and I, and at that time Bishop Barron was our rector for 1 year and a half or 2 years almost.
2 years,
yeah. 2 years.
But we never had a class with him.
Yeah, so we are mourning, crying. But
well, he gave many talks at the seminary. So.
He gave a lot of talks, and he's just so smart. Yeah, so go back to my impression about the Station of the Cross in Jerusalem overall. So as I told you, we had more than 2 weeks in Jerusalem, so we have so much time. But usually on Friday we have class. Yeah, hooray, right? We have class in the pilgrimage. So I tried to sneak out of the class, but I couldn't, because the professor wanna teach what they were supposed to teach, So we tried to study, but then I remember one day I tried to go to the city. So it is only like 5 minutes to 10 minutes walk from our hotel.
It's right across the west gate of the old city.
Yeah. Oh, now they call the west gate. So from there, from the hotel, I just went to the Jerusalem city to participate in the procession, because on Friday they do the station as well, and they do around the city. So they start from Holy Sepulchre, and then the monks will lead the people through the city, through different stations. And I had participated part of it, not the full procession because of the class, but I have a video I want to share. Father J, you want to help us to lead to that video, please? Yeah, as you can see, there are two guys with like two staff, and the staff has a metal piece, I think, at the bottom. That why when they try to make some noise, they
strike the ground.
Yeah, they strike the ground, and the fact that the ground is like so rocky, so everything on the road is like rock. So when they strike the road, it created a very powerful noise, and that is a signal for people to know that there's a procession going on. It happens every Friday, so people in the city, they are aware of that. So when they hear that noise, they just like give grace for the procession to take place. So it's beautiful to see that, because like a moment of acknowledging something happening, right? Even if people are so busy trying to sell stuff on the street or from their stores, they acknowledge there's something important coming through, and it's the station of the cross that the monk were leading the crowd to do the station. And at the end of the station, they come back to Holy Sepulchre, to the place where Jesus was buried and resurrected. And actually, I was at that spot when they are about to finish, and it's so joyful, so powerful, because at that time, like the organ from somewhere, it just like keep playing, keep banging, and it's like, what is going on? You know. And then a lot of bells ringing, a lot of incense, so much going on at the end of the procession. And it's very powerful for me to see that, because I see, wow, people, of course, with the heaviness of the cross, as they are carrying their crosses around the city. Now at the end, when they finish the journey, you know, they focus on the resurrection with all the energy. It's like coming out. So it's beautiful, and I love it dearly. I love doing the station in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I didn't get an opportunity to see that procession myself, so
yeah,
I just had that busyness, you know, that was on my mind.
Yeah, so normally, I mean, when we are suffering or when we carrying our crosses, we know that the suffering is over there, but I think it's more than just to focus on the suffering itself. We're looking forward to the resurrection, or looking forward to something that joyful, right? I remember Matthew Kelly, one of his talk, he talked about in his series, like I've Heard God Laugh, he talk about the importance of the laugh, right? He say, if you want to lose some weight, laugh a lot. I laugh a lot, as you can tell. But he said laughing will bring us like a good moment in life, and actually relax us. And when we are suffering, it's good to remember the good moment that we have in life, so that we can cherish it, you know, so we don't fixate into the suffering itself. But
yeah, it wasn't all suffering.
Yes, I know. Yes, and I think after the station, we usually do something fun, and
see, we're happy.
Yes, we're happy, we're smiling. But at the spot that you are seeing, do you remember where, the location?
Yeah, I believe this is on top of our hotel, right?
Yes.
The Notre Dame. We were able to have access to the top of the hotel, and
behind us, is it the Basilica, or
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know, but
there's so many churches.
So many churches over there. Yes, but so a story about that, right? So in Jerusalem, we stay in Notre Dame. It's a very nice hotel because there's availability of a chapel over there, because we are taking the pilgrimage and we study at the same time. So we have a chapel over there to pray and to celebrate Mass daily. So it's very convenient for us, because we want to experience the holy site as well. So everything is just like right there for us, so that we can study, we can go to Mass and pray, and then just go off to see the holy sites. So the receptionist, she gave us the key to get access to the top of the roof, right? Because no one is given the key, only seminarians, because we get so spoiled.
You're spoiled. I didn't get the key.
You didn't get the key. So at first, because I love to explore, and I've heard that they have a roof. So after I checked the hotel, I went to the room, and then I come back to the reception area, and I say, can we have a small talk? Where's the key that we can open the door to go to the top of the building? And she gave it to me, and later on there's some complication, but we enjoy it.
Don't want something. You set his sights on it and do whatever it takes.
I pray, right? I pray to the Lord. I say, Lord, I really want that to happen. Can you help me, please? Sometimes the Lord listens. Sometimes he doesn't. Well, he listens all the time, but I think he wants to give us the best, right? So if he thinks it's appropriate, he will give it to us. But I would I would like to bring us back to the place where Jesus was crucified.
Well,
because
before that, did you want to share your favorite station?
Oh yes.
Before
sure.
we move on to just the cross, we've been talking about the stations, and
yes.
I think it's something good to share what our favorite station is.
Yeah, sure. You want to share your favorite station first?
Sure. I can go first.
Oh, something?
So, I think one of my favorite stations, I have this drawing of mine. There's a station in which it can't see it very well, but
yeah, because of the light.
Yeah, but I'll put it on the screen too. So this is my rendition of the Pietà. So this is a station which Jesus is taken down from the cross.
It's beautiful art.
Thanks, Stone. And so I've reflected upon this many times, and if you ever heard me talk about the Pietà, you probably heard this before. But in this particular rendition, this was a reflection on like a particular experience I had in the hospital. In the hospital, I was, we do the CPE program, right, where we work as a chaplain while taking some classes in order to develop our ability to minister to people in suffering. And so I was on call one weekend, and I get a call for I think there was a premature birth to a Muslim family. And so when I got there, since they're Muslim, I wanted to talk to the nurses first if they're okay with a Catholic chaplain speaking to them. So it was hard for me because I had to stay at a distance from them. And but by the time I got there, the baby had passed away. And so it was a very
sad,
very sad experience. And waiting there for the nurse to tell me. Eventually, she told me that they were looking for a Catholic chaplain. But even in the meanwhile, I was staying there. I wanted to comfort them, to give some kind of words to help them, but I couldn't. And all I could see was the back of the mother trying to cradle their baby, her baby that had just passed away.
Yes.
And it was just her having that moment with her child, her baby. Not even the father could really penetrate that moment. He was trying to figure out how to accompany her. But she was just with in her own world with her child, trying to still hold on to him whatever way she could. And of course I couldn't penetrate that moment either, and in that moment, as with many moments that you all experience in the hospital, I felt very helpless. I couldn't accompany them, their suffering, give any kind of words, or even be physically present to them. And so what this drawing is about, I saw Mary and Jesus in that moment as well. You see that in front of her, he has Jesus in her arms, and there's no color in him. It's all black, to show the emptiness within him, the life that has gone from his body, and the blue is just the suffering that she's experiencing, and it's just that whole world unto herself that she's holding in within this vicinity in front of her. And then just the sun on her back is kind of kind of how I felt. I'm trying to penetrate that moment, but all I can do is look upon her back. All the sun is coming just on her back. But the beauty of the Pietà, to get a closer look, you see the expression of Mary's face, and I highlighted here, with a little bit of orange and yellow. That it's a symbol of hope that Mary isn't in despair. She knows that Christ will rise, that God will take care of him, and that even in that suffering there is hope. And then a reminder for me, even though that I myself might not be able to penetrate that moment, God the Father in heaven can penetrate any moment of suffering. And Mary is experiencing in that moment, and that moment with that child in the hospital, I had to entrust that myself to God, that He's able to penetrate that moment as well.
Yes. So Mother Mary is the best of so many things, right? She started the tradition of the station, and now she embracing her son, right? And in the midst of suffering, as Father Jay was sharing, right, there's a message of hope, right? So she is not finished with agony or with suffering, but there's a moment, there's a lesson that she is teaching us to hope, right? Hope for the future. So for my favorite station, they have so many favorite stations, but one station that I want to focus on today is the third station, when Jesus falls for the first time. So bring you back to Jerusalem. So in that station, there's a picture of Jesus was on the ground with a cross, so it's like a white statues of Jesus and the cross itself, and then on the behind him there are a lot of angels. If you can Google it, like the third station of the cross in Jerusalem, you're gonna see that image right away. But it stuck with me because so the angels, they having so much emotion at that time. Some of them put their hands together in mourning, in wanting to help Jesus at that time, but they couldn't, right? Because they are angels, they are invisible. So the artist portrayed that like the heaven realm is suffering with that as well. And then Jesus, the powerful image of Jesus is like why he fell for the first time. The artist tried to picture him like he want to stand up, right? He pushed his hand so that he has enough strength to continue to stand up and carry his cross. So it's an image for us as well, right? In life we have suffering. For example, the mother that Father J encountered of losing her baby in the hospital. Well, she mourned for the death of the baby, right? So that is her suffering. But at the same time, she continued to live her life, right? Continue to take care of her family. So she's gonna stand up again. So that picture, the station of the third station, it helps me to remember that like in life we have suffering, of course, but we continue to carry our cross by either go back to the third station or the other station, and try to follow the example of Jesus. And yes,
I'm gonna try to pull up that the image that you were talking about real quick.
Oh yes. So while Father J is looking for that image for us, as I'm seeing the image, it's very beautiful because
so I just put it up on the screen.
Oh, I see. So you can tell, you can see, right? Jesus trying to push so that he has some strength to continue to carry the cross. And I talk about the angels. You see, a lot of angels is symbol of heaven, right? They are mourning for the passion of the Lord as well. So it's very powerful. It's very powerful for me.
Let me take that off.
Yeah, so now we go back to the spot where Jesus was crucified. We call it Golgotha, right? So do you want to share some experience about that?
Let me put up the picture. So this is the image of, they just have some icons there, but you can see some window panes on the bottom where the stone where the crucifixion happened.
Yeah, so under the crucifixion, you see that over there, there's Jesus and a bunch of lamps. Yeah, so under that there's a altar, and under the altar there's actually a spot that because
it's exposed.
Yeah, exposed, and then you can touch to the rock.
You can kneel there and venerate the rock.
But how's your experience of venerating that very spot, Father Jay?
Well, we got to go there a couple times. Again, like the first experience was very busy. We were able to say mass there to the on the right altar there. But again,
I love that mass. It's just like, yes, we celebrate where the holy sacrifice was taking place, right? So there's a lot of emotion because Father Kasule, he's our chaplain, so we have a priest who is a chaplain, and he takes care of us so well. And he celebrated the mass for us at that. On the side altar, but it's very close to the.
What was interesting about in Golgotha, was how close the tomb was to it. I don't know why I had an impression that the tomb was in an entirely different place.
I know, right? You have to walk miles to get to the tomb, but now it's so close.
So
to each
just
other.
like the lower floor.
Yeah.
So in the same church. So that was great. You go to the Holy Sepulchre. You could visit both the death and the resurrection of Christ, which was awesome because we. We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, but we had a chance to stay overnight in the tomb, and thus get away from all the busyness and noisiness of the tourists and the visitors and everything, and so we can really make it a spiritual experience. And when I was able to spend time in there, I spent a lot of time next to the cross, just sitting there and contemplating, my relationship with Christ. And to the right, I don't know if you can see it. It's probably not in the picture here, but barely you can see to the right. There's a wax figure of Mary in a case over here.
Is it Sorrowful Mother?
Yeah, it's the Sorrowful Mother and I sat there for most of the night right in front of Mary again. But I think in contemplating that Triduum and everything, it really helps me to have Mary along in this journey as well. That you can see. It's very very.
Yes, we can see.
Right in the middle. You can see. Just a little bit, but but just an expression of compassion and on her face, just making eye contact with that figure of Mary, who suffer along Jesus, who also suffer along me, and she still looks at me with eyes of love and eyes of encouragement that she wants what's better of me, and she wants, in the context of preparing for the priesthood, she sees me as a priest, that she sees that vocation, that call, that she wants to erect out of me, and so I sat with her to look upon her eyes so that I can really receive that next to the cross, so that I can carry that cross of the ministry, and to receive those same words of encouragement that Mary gave to Jesus in order to perform his first miracle.
Yes, yeah. So Mary again, right? She's wonderful friends. I run to Mother Mary for help. Like Father Jay has so many powerful experience with Mother Mary, and it's reflected through his art, right? By the way, Father J is so good with drawing, with dancing, with technology. So ask him question if you guys have, because I do ask him a lot of questions as well.
I'm not sponsoring you.
You will be, yeah. But go back to my experience of venerating the spot where Jesus was crucified, and as you can see from the picture, right? So we stay overnight, and because over the tomb we had very limited amount of time to venerate the tomb of Jesus. So, and over Golgotha is very empty. I mean, there's only a few of us in the church.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a long period of time just to lay down and then touch the rock. You remember, like under the altar, there's a space that we can put our hands to touch the rock. So I was praying, and I say, Lord, bring me back to the moment that you was crucified on this very space. And I have a sense of like the coldness of the rock brought me back to the coldness of the, I don't know, the people that had toward Jesus at that time. They just want to crucify the Lord, right? So he experienced the coldness of the people, and he's enduring. And I feel the drop of the blood is dropping from Jesus' body, and it's suffering, but sometimes there's a warmth in that place. Maybe because of the candles it surrounded me. There's so many candles and incense at that very wonderful place. But it just like gave me a message of like hope. Yes, Christ died and it's very cold at that time, but the love that the Lord has for us is, it's just like amazing, right? When the soldier pierced Jesus' heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water and flood flowing out. So you can see the love of the Lord continue to pour out for us. The question is, are we gonna take the grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the Lord is keep pouring out His love, His mercy to us, are we gonna put our hands together and take that grace and embrace it, or we just say, I don't care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a very powerful moment for me to venerate the Golgotha.
Yeah, I think mercy and forgiveness is something to really important to reflect upon on this Good Friday. The outpouring of God's forgiveness and mercy, and God's desire for us to be restored and to be healed.
Yeah, so that pretty much is about to close our podcast for today. So before we finish the podcast for today, Father J, do you want to share with our listeners about some tips that we can celebrate Good Friday?
So I mean, as I said, the big focus there is on mercy and forgiveness through the cross. So if you have a Good Friday service at your place, I mean, or Stations of the Cross, to really take advantage of that. And take advantage of the Good Friday service. I know the veneration of the cross will be different, but and if you have your own cross, to carry that with you as well. A small cross to venerate that. And
oh yes,
in your home, if you have a crucifix on the wall or something like that, or to hang a cross on the wall somewhere, and to just make that an honorable place in your house, so that you can be reminded of that mercy, and we can truly recognize what has been outpoured upon us through that the image of the cross.
Yes, the cross is a symbol of God's love to humanity, right? And I think every household should have a cross in their house,
Absolutely.
For the message of hope and resurrection and redeeming, right? The tip that I want to give it to you is, when we make the sign of the cross, right? Take time to make the sign of the cross. Because some people just think, right? Or some people just like, oh, there are flies, some here, I just want to make the fly away, no, right? Take time to make the sign of the cross, because it's reminding us of the passion that the Lord has taken for our redemption. A lot of suffering going over there, a lot of heaviness, but of course there's hope for the resurrection. So take time to make the sign of the cross and bring us back to the moment where Jesus died for us, right?
Yeah.
He loved us dearly and then he died for us. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, that's so where beautiful. Christ flipped evil upside down. He took the brunt force of all the evil in the world. The sins of the world, the hatred of the world, and death itself. He took the greatest evil and flipped it and turned it and transformed it into our salvation. And so the image of the cross was meant to be an instrument of torture, and a humiliation becomes the image of glory.
Yeah, the victory, right? So 3 tips. Father Jay say, go into this Good Friday service, go to do the station with your parish, and venerate the cross at home. For me, I have 1 tip, just to make the sign of the cross reverently. Again, thank you so much, all of you, to listen to our podcast. It's a joy for us to reflect our experience in Holy Land, and we hope to take you to that pilgrimage with us via this live stream. And please press the button subscribe, so that tomorrow, right, we're gonna talk about the resurrection at the same time, 10 a.m. Share the link to your friends if you think it will benefit them to celebrate Good Friday. So thank you so much, and God bless you
for joining us.
Thank you.
And again, we'll leave you with the same song that we ended with, but just a small snippet of it. Again, to remind you to stay with Christ, to stay with Him as we journey through this Triduum to the resurrection.